Okay, welcome everybody. Today I'm having a discussion with one of the our youngest or fresh engineers that have registered as COREN as well as NSE. So I thought having this discussion is going to elaborate and also simplify for others that also want to register or is planning to take the COREN exam. So I've put out about some few questions that I would like to ask him about his registration. But let me first of all introduce him to you. His name is Engineer Joshua. He's a practicing engineer. He's currently practicing with one of the major consulting firms in Lagos. So thank you for joining this meeting. I really appreciate your time. So I welcome you to this meeting and thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm really honored and privileged to be part of this discussion.
Okay. Thank you so much. We all know what the NSE and the COREN is all about, but I just want you to give us maybe a simple introduction to fresh graduates that might not really understand the full concept of what the NSE and the COREN is all about.
Okay, so I'll start with NSE. So NSE is the Nigerian Society of Engineers. It
Okay.
is the umbrella body for all engineering professionals in Nigeria. It was founded in 1958
Okay.
and it has 6 membership categories, 88 branches across the world. There are local branches and there are national branches, and it also has 20 specializations or divisions of engineering practice. Um, the purpose of NSE is a professional organization that helps to enhance the professional practice of engineering in Nigeria. It helps to also safeguard the welfare of professionalism in the country. So it's really just an organization where all engineers are meant to belong to so that they can enhance their professional practice in delivering engineering service across the country. Compared to COREN, COREN is the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria.
Yes.
COREN is a regulatory body enacted by law to check or to govern all engineering practice done in the country. So COREN is the only body that has the license or the ability to give a license to practice engineering within the country. So the difference between COREN and NSE is COREN gives you a license to actually practice engineering. Without the COREN license, you are not an engineer. You should not be called an engineer. You should not be able to practice engineering in the country. So COREN gives you that license. And COREN is also involved in accrediting schools that teach the engineering curriculum. They also vet the curriculum, they update it to also suit world-class engineering standards across various countries too. COREN is sort of part of the Washington Accord, so they're trying to do like a unified curriculum where the education here in Nigeria and engineering can also match up with the European countries or the American countries, so that we can have a level playing field to compete. So that's what COREN really does. COREN gives you a license to practice, but NSE is just a personal body that gives you an opportunity to meet other professionals, share ideas, organize technical workshops and programs, lectures, trainings, and safeguard the welfare of all engineers within the country. For NSC, like I said, there are more than 20 divisions. Divisions are just sub specialization in engineering. We have engineering, then we have civil, mechanical, transportation, structural, mechatronics, electrical. So many divisions fall under the NSC. So the NSC, like I said, is the main umbrella body, but there are 20 subdivisions that also have their own specialized organization.
Okay. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. Um, I think it's quite clear to all of us, and then we understand the major difference between what the NSE does and also what the COREN does. But one of the things that used to bother we as fresh graduates is you see a lot of people, they will tell you, try to register for your COREN. You see some people, they will tell you, you should try and join the NSE and be a member. So which one do you think should come first?
Well, that question is a very tricky question, but from my experience, none come first. Both are equally important. But I
Okay.
would say in terms of practicing engineering, your COREN is very, very important. Without your COREN, you are not allowed to practice engineering, and which is the goal of every engineer within the country, to practice his skill set, be able to like develop engineering across the country. So I would say COREN is very important because of it gives the license to practice. But however, without NSE, if you are just a COREN registered engineer, you don't have avenues for development technically. You
Yeah.
don't have avenues to understand the best practices in engineering across the world. So when you belong to NSE and the subdivision of your specialization, you get day-to-day updates on what is really going on within your own specialization. You get the best practice, professionalism, training, skill sets as regards what the world is moving towards in your own field. So you are up to speed, you can compete. But without that, you are just practicing. You are limited to the scope you are exposed to. Then also with NSC, you have contact with other senior colleagues that have been in the field for 20 years, 30 years. So you can tap from that wealth of knowledge and experience when you have problems or issues. With Korean, you don't have that avenue because it's just your license. But with NSE, you are part of a community that can also help you when you have issues or problems, if you need extra hands on different things. So they both come hand in hand and they are both helpful. But in terms of which one would you do first,
Okay. Yes.
any can come first. Any can come first. COREN or NSE. The main thing is after you do COREN, you do your NSE. After you do NSE, you do your COREN. So any can come first. But there's an advice we give that it is more economical to go through NSE than COREN because COREN is more expensive. If you plan to do both of them, if you do the cost of doing COREN first and NSE next, or NSE first and COREN next, the NSE first route is cheaper than the COREN first route because one, the COREN exams you can only take them in Abuja. That's the only center in the whole country. So
Oh,
peradventure, if you are staying in Ghana or you are staying far away, you have to actually travel down to
wow.
Abuja to take that exam. But in NSC, all exams are virtual. So it saves you some in economy that you don't have to pay some money for some things to get your exam done. And once you use NSC to go to COREN, you don't have to write any COREN exam. It's straightforward.
Okay.
Also, if you do current to go to NSE, you don't have to write any NSE exams. It's just that the current first exam, you have to go to Abuja to write your exam. But for NSE first, you can do it virtually. You don't have to go anywhere. So the overall costs is easier if you go through NSE than if you go through current. But in terms of importance, I would advise any engineer to do both of them because it adds value to your practice.
Thank you for that. I think from what you said, I've also picked one or two things from that. So, based on what we've discussed in the background, you told me, based on the advice you gave us, that it's better to go through the NSA route before you now go and do your current. So, can we talk about the NSA registration? Most of the time, all these national bodies, you cannot just go to their offices and say you want to register like normal other kind of institutions. Most institutions, so they have time, maybe period within the year in which they cite their registration period and then where you can write the exam. So can you tell us, when does the NSC registration start? Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's 2 batch or 3 batch within the year, and then where you can register so that you can give our viewers idea, those that are planning to do it. You can know, maybe I will do it in the first batch of the year, or maybe I will do it in the later batch of the year.
Okay. NSC exams, direct exams, they have 3 batches in a year.
Okay.
So let's say we are entering 2025 now. They call them diets. There are 3 diets in a year. We have the April diet, the
Diet
June
in
diet,
diet in term of DIET.
yeah, DIET. So they call the examination process diet.
Okay.
So we have the April diet, the June diet, and we have the October diet.
Wow.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, like I was saying, so we have the April diet, the June diet, and we have the October diet. Those are the 3 diets we have every year. April, June, like that. So they cancel that six times in a year to approve candidates. Because in COREN, you don't have to write any exams through COREN. You just have to submit your application and they just approve you once you meet the requirements. But if you are going to NSC exams directly, you have 3 diets of examinations, which are April, June, and October.
Okay, thank you for that. So anybody that plans to register, you can try to, maybe you plan towards using the April or during the June or the later part of the year. So then another question I would like to follow up with that is, I don't know if there is a stages in registration. I don't like, maybe you first of all do this, then you now have to come and do this, then maybe you now come and do this. I don't know if there's anything like that, so that others can get prepared on what to expect when they want to start the registration for the NSE.
Okay, so I'll give a summarized stage, but in between those stages, there can be more detailed sequence, but I'll just give a general summary of the stages. So the first thing is you have to know if you are met the minimum requirement.
Okay,
So the minimum requirement is your degree, your engineering degree must be 4 years from
okay,
when you graduated. So if you graduated in 2020, you must have at least been in 2024 before you say you want to take the NSE exam. So that is one of, so you have to make that calculation and say, okay, am I even eligible to apply for this examination? So once you see that you're eligible, like I said, your degree must be at least 4 years old after graduation, then you can now go to the portal. So let's assume, let's do the case study, the April Diet 2025. So the portal will be opened somewhere early in the year, maybe January or February. You
okay,
can be checking the NSE website to be sure when the portal will be open, because there's information. Once the portal is open, the first thing you do is to create an online account,
okay,
an online application. So once you do that, you pay an application fee, a particular amount of money. You
okay,
create an account. Then once you create an account, you then a major step after that is you have to go to your local branch. So peradventure, I'm in Ibadan. We have about, or in Oyo State, we have about 4 branches in Oyo State. So I'll go to my Ibadan branch. Then I would go and pick up an acknowledgement form. That acknowledgement form is a form saying, oh, I want to be part of the organization. So
okay,
once you go to the branch to pick that acknowledgement form up, it will be filled by your branch chairman.
okay,
You get the local branch chairman and also the division chairman. What I mean by division is, let's assume you are a mechanical engineer, but you specialize in mechatronics. You get, so you have to get signatures from the NSE local branch and also the chairman of mechatronics. You
okay,
understand? So that's how well, let's say you're a civil engineer now, you have to get the NSE chairman's signature and the NICE chairman because you are a civil engineer.
okay,
You
yes,
understand? So that's how it works. So that acknowledgement form was issued by 2 people, your local branch chairman for NSE and your division chairman. So once you have that field, you will now get that copy from the chairman. It will be a physical copy. You have that copy with you. Then though that's the only part you have to locally go to a place to do something. Every other thing we done virtually. That's why I have to state this very clear that you actually have to get that acknowledgement form. You can't do it virtually, except maybe you are well connected and you have the contacts of those people and you can send it to them virtually and they scan it back to you. But to save you all that, just go to the branch to the branch office. Say you want to pick an acknowledgement form and they will do the due signatures for you. And that's how it will be. So after you do that, you have your acknowledgement form ready. On the portal, when you are filling your online application, there's something that's also important. It's called proposal. So you must be proposed by NSE members, corporate members that are financially up to date. That means they don't owe NSE any due money.
no,
You understand? So once you have financially up-to-date proposals, those proposals now be the one from the back end to say, oh, we support this candidate towards examination. So those are the, so after filling your own personal details and you get the proposals you need and the proposals confirm you as their candidate and you are done with that initial online application, you will now be able to download something that I call a statement of experience form.
okay,
So now, so you have your acknowledgement form physically. You'll be able now, because you have completed the first part of your online application, you can.
yes,
So I said, so like before, like I said, open an online account,
yes,
complete an online application and pay an online fee. Go
yes,
to your branch chair to
yes,
collect an acknowledgement form that will be signed by the chairman and your division's chairman.
yes, yes,
So get your proposals to confirm you on the application website. So
yes,
after they've done that, you now have access to download a statement of experience form.
okay,
So once you download that statement of experience form, you will now fill it with your work experience, your relevant work experience that you have had within that 4 years after graduation.
Okay.
So once you feel that, your form must be endorsed by a current registered engineer, because the idea. So, like I said, the acknowledgement form is going to be picked up at the branch office, the NSE branch office in your state, and to be signed by the NSE chairman and your division's chairman. So, when that you have the signed copy of that document, you will receive it physically in hard copy. Then you would ask your proposals to confirm your application. So once they have done that, the first round of the online application will be completed,
Completed. Okay.
and you always be seeing it on the NSE portal, the percentage completion on each part of the aspects of the application, because you have to fill in some details. But those details are left to you to fill. The other part, you need to get externally adjust the forms. So once you have filled your details, primarily, you'll be able to complete the application. So once you have your application form ready, you have to download a statement of experience form. So
Yes.
in that statement of experience form, you have to list all your work experience within that 4 year period where you've been working. And your work experience must be endorsed by a current certified engineer. Because the idea of pupil engineering is, for the first few years of graduating, you should be working under a licensed company or a licensed engineer, so they can at least verify and mentor you in preparation for all these examinations. So your work experience will be endorsed by a current registered engineer. So once you have your acknowledgement form and your statement of experience form completed, you will now be able to upload those forms online. So in terms of the document you now need to upload, you need to upload your acknowledgement form completed, your statement of experience form completed, your NYC certificate,
Okay.
your BSc certificate, and your O-level certificate.
Okay.
So you upload those 5 documents to the NSE portal or your online application portal.
Okay.
There's a space for them there to be uploaded. So once you have done that, you are almost done with the online aspect of the application. So there's a part in the application where it comes first. I always advise people to start it early. Is the technical reports. The technical report has to do with detailing your experience in a report form. It's not all the experience, but just the choice, the ones you want to choose to speak about. So in that technical report, you have 3 types of reports under it. There's the volume 1 report, the volume 2 report, and the volume 3 report. For
Yes.
most engineering divisions, you would just be doing volume 1 and volume 2. But
Yes.
for civil engineering people that have maybe vast experience in site supervision, construction especially, you have to do a volume 3 called a BEME report, Bill of Engineering Measurements and Evaluation.
Okay.
Because definitely, if you have worked on projects, you are definitely going to be having bills of quantities and things like that.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a third report because you are in that aspect or in that division of civil engineering. But if you are in mechatronics or electrical, you might not need to do a
Yes.
volume 3, which is a BEME report. So, like I said, the technical report is something that I advise people to have started early. If you are writing your exam in April, it's something you should have started since February, because it's going to be detailed and it really comprises a lot about your scoring and your grading in the whole examination entirely. So the volume 1 is just like a CV. It just summarizes what you have done. You're meant to pick 5 of your work experiences. And
Okay.
that work experience that you put in the volume 1 must tally with your statement of experience form. You can't have a different experience in statement of experience form and have a different thing in your volume 1. They will check
Yes. Yes.
if there's a correlation. So the same experiences you filled in your statement of experience, well, let's say you have 7 experiences in statement of experience form, you can just pick 5 to put in your volume 1 report. So in those 5, there's like from the NST portal, there's a guideline on how the report should be. There
Okay.
are tables of content. Oh, fill this next, in some of the work, what you did on the work, your experience gained. It's just a little short information about each of those projects, 5 of them,
Okay.
minimum 5. You can do more than 5, but the minimum is 5. So once you have volume 1 filled out, then you now go to volume 2. Volume 2 is now a detailed report of any 2 work experiences. So that one, you will now break it down, how the project went, the technical details that went to the project. If it was supervision of a construction project, let's say a building, and you did it from start to finish, you have to start from the beginning, setting out the foundations of structure to the superstructure, everything you did on that work was being a report format. So the volume two says that you should pick two types of report. It should be a design report for civil engineers. I'll be using civil engineering as a reference for because that's what I was involved in.
We
But even in
understand.
mechanical and electrical, they will also say you should also do a design aspect and an implementation aspect or construction aspect. So let's say you wired a building or you're involved in power. You just have to do one where you implemented it and one where you did design work about the project. So those are the two categories. So two has two parts, the design aspect and the implementation aspect or construction aspect. So you have to write two of those experiences. So let's say you have five experiences, you have three designs, two constructions. You pick one from your three designs and one from the two constructions and have a detailed report for
Funding.
volume two. So as a civil engineer, because you have now picked a construction experience in volume two, there has to be a BEME or a BOQ. Let's say it's a building, you have a BOQ. If it's a bridge, a cover, retaining wall, you have BEME. So you have to be able to get that BOQ and BEME so that you can prepare a volume three report. The volume three report is not necessarily you doing most of the work because all they want is an attachment to see the BOQ or the BEME, and you just do a little write-up on how the overall costing of the work was and stages. It's not really it because you're not a QS. But as an engineer, you should be able to do a BEME because that's for engineering costing. So in that report, the only thing you have to do physically is something called a taking off sheet. So we all know that before we get the BOQ or the BEME, we have the preliminary calculations used done in the taking off sheet. So they want to impute a taking off sheet of a section of the BEME. That's really what they want in that BEME because the BEME is a standard document that you just get from the contractors or from your bosses that say, I need a BEME of this project. They give it to you. But how did they get that BEME? How did they comprise that BEME? They now want to just show that I have an understanding of how a BEME can be implemented or executed or can be produced. So to produce a BEME or a BOQ, you need something called a taking off sheet. So it's that taking off sheet that you will now manually calculate and attach to your report.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so is that taking off sheet that you manually attach and you do some little calculations, and so you can just like now a BOQ can have BO1, BO2, preliminaries, BO3. So you can just take BO2 as a case study and do a taking off sheet for only BO2. You don't have to do taking off sheet for all the bills or the whole BOQ. It just shows them that at least you have an idea of how a BOQ can be produced. So that's what you need to do in the volume three, and it's not applicable to all divisions or specializations. By the time you have your reports completed, your reports will now be submitted to a special email account. It's not
Okay.
going to be uploaded on the website or on the portal. We are going to be given an email by NSE to submit your report. So you forward the documents of your report. Then also in your report, they'll ask you to also include drawings. So like I said, if you're an engineer, you do a lot of drawings. You have to include drawings, either it's the design drawing or the construction drawing.
Right.
But I'll use myself as a case study because in my work experience, I did bridges and I did retaining wall design. So the drawings were too cumbersome to put within my volume two because volume two is the detailed report of the work you want to talk about. So I
Technical
have to
detail.
send the drawings as a separate attachment. So I had volume one, volume two, volume three, and drawings
Okay.
as
It's
a
clear now.
separate document because it was too cumbersome to put within my document. But let's say this something small like electrical that is maybe the drawings are not so much. You can put your drawings within the volume two report and
Yes.
they would also see it. So those are the things you need to do. But in terms of the report, there are more guidelines on the NSE website that will show you the formats, the steps, what you need to include, the number of pages you need to go, and things like that. This is just a brief summary of what needs to be done. So, like I said, so once you have all those documents ready, the reports are submitted to a separate email account provided by NSE themselves, and there's a particular period of time to submit that report. It's not with the forms or the NYC certificate; those ones are done earlier. So, but it's advisable that people start doing the report early so they will not be caught unaware because it's actually voluminous if you start to do it with a fire brigade approach. So now let's now say we already have all those documents completed. Then there's some that NSE organizes that is very compulsory. I would advise all candidates to attend the seminar. It's called a mandatory continuous professional development program.
Okay.
MCPE. It's like a technical workshop that is organized nationally by NSE. It's a virtual program. It runs for 3 days, and you have to pay a sum of money to have license to the workshop, or to have access to the workshop rather. So that work in that workshop, you will now be taught about everything about NSE that they want to know. There are different topics, different lectures, cost engineering, professional ethics, project management, very, very good workshops on general engineering practice that applies to all divisions. It's just a way of training engineers for practicing in the real life scenario. So you'll be getting lectures from top professionals across different fields for about 3 days. But the issue with this MCP is there's going to be a certificate that will be issued after the program to show that you attended. That certificate is very, very vital for the next steps of the application.
Vision.
So if you don't have the certificate, or if you did not attend, that means that you will not be eligible to continue the process. So I
Wow.
advise that everybody tries to attend it so that they can also get the education and also get that certificate that shows that I attended the program. Then also during the program, I cannot tell you when they will talk, but there will be someone that will now give hints on the interviews. That is very important because nobody knows any detail of the interviews yet. But during the program, there'll be a timetable for the program that we have this lecture between this hour, there's a break time, another lecture. But within one of the
This
break
time.
times, someone will just talk and give you information about the interview, which is very, very important because nobody knows when it will happen. So you have to be following the program for all the 3 days to be sure that when that person comes to give you that information, you are there. So they talk about the interview, your dress code, what they will ask you in the interview, general questions. So you can be to jot down those kind of details or information because they really help you during the interviews. Because you can only prepare so much. But if you already have guidelines on things they might ask you, it's nice to be in the know and to be informed.
Yeah,
So
sure.
because you have that information, your interview becomes much more easy. But a lot of people, because they might not attend the program, they just want to just collect. They will register, but they might not attend so that they just want to collect the certificate of attendance. They will now miss those vital information for the interview. So also during the workshop period, that is when your report will be submitted. The submission
Okay.
of the report will be announced during the workshop period. So if
Wow.
you are not attending to it and they announce that, submit your report on day 2 of the workshop, and you didn't attend the 1, day 2, and day 3, you will not be aware. Except maybe you have colleagues too that are doing the process and they can inform
Yeah.
that, okay, my friend, they told you submit this document now, it's time to submit. So you have to always be in that workshop because vital information is going to be passed during that 3 day period. I don't advise anybody to miss that 3 day period. So that's the period you know some info of the interviews, you know some information concerning when you submit your technical report. So now let's say the MCPE period is over. You've completed the
Okay.
training and you've gotten your certificate. You submitted your technical reports. So because NSE will now evaluate all your documents. So
Okay.
this period is when people wait for the invitation for the interview.
Okay.
This is the period they wait for that. So NSE will now evaluate all your documents. So the candidate that they deem fit for the interview will now be contacted that,
Okay.
you are now scheduled for an interview at a particular time and day. So everybody will have their own time and day. It's going to be like a 1 week period because it's virtual. So they group it in divisions. Civil can be the first 2 days, electrical 1 day, mechanical another day, water. So there's a timetable that shows that allocates your time, your day, and there are different interviewers across different states. So if you're in Ibadan, let's say registered in Ibadan, like for example, for me, my interviewer was in Jigawa State,
Wow.
was an NSE person practicing in Jigawa State. Some people can get someone from the south. So it's not going to be someone in your local region that you know. It's going to
Hmm.
be a very random person. They are going to mix everybody about. So you cannot say, I know this person, I don't know this person. You have to be prompt, you have to be on time, and you have to be present for your interview because they won't reschedule you. So,
Okay.
like I said, so let's say we have going to the interview stage and we've already gotten our invite. That means, so what the invite means your reports were good, your documents were correct. And when I mean correct, because NSE would actually revalidate your certifications. They will go to
Okay.
NYC and check if you really did NYC to be sure that you have done NYC. They will also go to your school to check your certificate to be sure it is genuine. So by
Yes.
the time they do all those processes, they'll now say, okay, this person is approved for the interview process. So we are now at the interview process. So the interview process is just a 20 to 30 minute interview.
Engineer, please,
The
can you hold on? Because the way you are saying it is the information will be too long for anybody that is listening.
okay, okay,
So that's why
okay,
I
okay.
want us to break it so that actually for those of us that are viewing us, um if you have any question, I am going to upload this video on either YouTube and other platform. So if you have any question, you can just put it in the comment. So whenever we have another section like this, so you get answer to your question. So thank you for joining us, Engineer Toyib. So I hope you can hear me. So I welcome you to this program, even though you were late, but there's no fine. We are good. Um, Actually, you've said a lot of things about the registration process. You've talked about the mode of application is like 90% virtual for the NSE, and then you've
Yeah.
also talked about the time frame for the registration. So I don't want us to, how will I put it, to give to make the information too bulky for people to digest at the same time. So I will just want us to pause a little bit on that registration part. So and then I just want to add something on the registration. You mentioned that you have to
Okay.
register on the website, and then you also
Yes.
mentioned that you have to get an acknowledgement form from your branch.
Yes.
So, and then, so I just want you to share more light. I know based on the year by year, the NSC registration cost and everything, I'm sure it will be changing year by year. So based on your own, what you did in 2024, can you just give us exact costs of like someone that wants to register, okay, this is what I have to prepare to register for this NSC. This is what I have to prepare to register for this.
Okay, okay.
So just give us you understand?
My exact cost, I'll break it down, but just say the total figure. I spent
Okay,
about 101,000,
okay,
101,000. And this cost varies across branch to branch. They are constant costs, but they are varying costs. So let me explain that.
okay.
The online application is constant. It's a national fee. I think it's 20,000 naira. You understand?
Yes.
Then the MCP workshop fee is also a national thing. It's compulsory. It's 30,000 naira. So that's already 50,000 naira.
Okay,
You understand? Then also, when you now pass the whole NSC examination and everything, you have to now pay an election fee.
okay,
An election fee is the fee that gives you access to print your letter of election that you are now a corporate member of the NSC. This is also very constant. It applies across everybody.
okay,
But the election fee depends on a criteria from NSE. They said if you are a fresh graduate and you just did your NSE between 5 years of your graduation, you pay 51. If you
okay.
waited more than 5 years, you pay 60 something. You get if you are in another category, you pay 70, but the highest is 70 for the election fee. So let's say you have done 5 years now, you cannot pay 51 that like would have done less than 5 years. So
Yes.
that's just a little variance. But in terms of the overall cost, it costs you about 101,000. Then there's something also called induction fee. It's like a ceremony to say where you come with all the NSC members there. You have now been officially
Yes.
joined the NSC organization. It's not compulsory, but it's just a celebration that a lot of people like to attend. It's like just to attend. I've achieved something. You get your plaque, your certificate, and things like that. You don't have to attend. You don't have to pay for it. You understand? So
Okay.
it varies from branch to branch. I heard that from branch in Port Harcourt, they pay 25. In Abuja, they paid 45. In Ibadan, myself, I paid 53.
Oh,
You
wow.
get some in Lagos, they pay 30. So that one is dependent on the local branch where you
That you
apply
have.
to. It's just a little ceremony. It does not. So that's another variance in the cost. But generally, you should expect to spend about 100,000 naira for the whole application.
Okay, thank you for that. Then, before we leave this registration part, you mentioned something about the proposal. You said you should have two proposals. So I wanted to ask,
Yes.
and those guys must be financially up to date with the
Financially up to date, yeah.
yeah. So those two proposals, do they have to be in your field? You know, you mentioned one earlier that I think the acknowledgement form that you have to get the signature of the
Division
branch,
chairman.
yeah, the chairman, and also your branch, like your departmental head. So
Your specialization, yeah.
yes, so those the acknowledgement form and the proposal, do they have to also be in your own field? Those
Yes, they
two
have to be in your
proposals.
field.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, they
So
have to be in your field because they are the ones proposing you for your specialization.
okay. Well, I hope you, if you are watching this video, I hope you enjoy this session. So I would like to introduce you to our second guest on this program. Is also a fresh engineer by name, is Engineer Toyib. So thank you for joining this meeting. So I will be asking questions on the examination so that we can end today's session. So by our next session, hopefully, maybe we discuss more on the reports and also on the other questions that people might have asked. So for the examination, you told us that we have 3 diets. And then based on some of the questions that I have here, you said for NSE, the examination is going to be virtual. So is it going to be like a normal interview? And then how long will the examination take, or the interview? How long will it take? So I'm referring to Engineer Toyi. Please, can you share more light on that?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very,
Uh,
very sorry for coming this late. I was not actually,
we gave you
but
a
it has
pass. We
happened,
gave you
so
a
I don't
pass.
have
Don't
much.
worry.
Okay. About the exam it's of two phases. So we have the multiple options and and the oral interview test. Okay. For the multiple options test, that one takes like we have three phases. You have three sections on it. You have the technical exams, and you have the English test, and that one is there's another one, computer literacy test. I've forgotten the actual name of it. So about the technical test, it's just related to that one is related to what you're actually doing. Maybe you're actually in civil. So any questions you are getting is most likely to be streamlined on the civil.
Okay.
So for the English professional test, yes. Yeah, for the English test, that one is just based on your basic knowledge of English.
Okay.
Okay. And then for the other one, that's the computer literacy test. That's just about how to operate the computer operations generally.
Okay.
But the NSE has designed this thing very well in a way that before you write the actual test, you must have taken like 3 series of mock tests.
Okay.
So you'll be getting this, yes, you'll be getting the education for every mock test so that you get accustomed to the computer interface, the exam interface, and the whole of the exam generally. Understand before the actual test. So and about the other interview test. So that one will be scheduled, and you'll be invited. So that one is just basically the question is all about having the whole knowledge of the NSE, what NSE is all about.
Okay.
You understand? Maybe the NSE histories and some technical questions about the report he actually submitted to them.
Okay.
So I'll just employ you that you know what you actually presented for them, because that's where mostly the question will coming from. So what again? I think that's all about the time frame. I think the multiple test is all about is an hour, and the other test is depends about how maybe the interviewer
Based on
maybe
the
it's found that is
interaction.
very, very vast. Yes, based on the interaction, and maybe the person is actually has that kind of interest in the project that you actually presented to them. So with that, there should be a better interaction, just as you said. You understand? So that one, I can't really say that there's actually a stipulated time frame for it. You understand that? So okay,
Yes.
and about there's another thing that, yeah, about I think that's all about the examination. But about this, okay, maybe then you just look on it to the next phase of it. Maybe next question, I should be able to say more about the examination afterwards. I think that's just the basic knowledge of the examination.
Based on what Engineer Joshua has told us, I think he have explained that there's a program that they used to hold, I think a 3 days program. And then during the course of this program, they explain a lot of things and they give some hints on how the interview
Yes, that's
is
another
going to go. So, and you've mentioned that the interview can be technical, English test, and also computer-based. I think that is what they put on their website. So, but I would like to know how is the exam is being graded. So I would like Engineer Joshua to share more light on this, because you said we have three or four, let's say 4 exams. You have the technical OBJ kind of question, you have the English test, you have the computer test, and also you have the interview that you have one-on-one with a registered engineer. So how do they grade this exam, so that maybe is it that you have to focus on all the 4 and make sure you passed it, or maybe there's a part that you can focus more? So if you can share more light on that, please.
Okay. Okay. Also, I'll first say the overall exam, like Engineer Toy said, there are 2 parts: the oral interviews and the CBT examination.
Okay.
So the oral interview is 50 marks, and
Okay.
the CBT is also 50 marks. So the NSE exam is 100 marks. So
Okay.
within the oral interviews, I will now explain how they are grading it. So your technical report assessment is 15 marks. So the volume 1, volume 2, or volume 3 that you submitted will be graded over 15 marks. Then, like Engineer Toib said, the interview will be based on what you submitted and some general NSE questions. So in terms of the interview performance now, they would 15 marks is for your professional experience. So how you display your level of professionalism in answering those questions shows how well you've been practicing engineering along those 4 years that you said you've used or more. Then also your interview performance, it means your dressing, your confidence, how you are speaking, how you are articulating your answers, is also 15 marks. So we have a total of
30
45 marks now.
Okay,
for
45, yes.
No, report assessment 15, professional experience 15, interview performance 15.
15,
So
yes.
there's the last 5 marks that is for NSE affiliations. That means, let's say, were you a graduate member before? Were you a student member? Or what, did you participate in NSE programs? Were you going for the AGMs, or maybe in your branch, were you going for all those technical workshops as a student? So those kind of things, if you give them that kind of information, it helps you to add some additional marks. Then they can also ask you, do you have a master's degree? Do you have a PhD? Those little things sum up to that extra 5 marks. So that makes the sum of 50 for the oral interview. And let me say, the pass mark is 25. If you get less than 25% in the oral interview, you will not be called for the CBT examinations. So let's say a candidate has now gotten over 25, more than 25 in the oral interview, you will now come for the CBT. So the CBT, like Engineer Toye mentioned, there are 3 parts: the questions on your specialization, the use of computer, and the use of English. So your specialization is 20 marks. They ask you different questions as regards your area of specialization. If it's civil, they will ask you civil questions. As for civil, they can even ask you some geology questions. Anything you have done in your undergraduate study, they will ask you things in your work experience, because they know that people have different work experiences. You could have done roads and you're an expert now. I could have done structures. So they just ask you things they expect you to have done in your BSc, in that curriculum that COREN might have put out for engineering. So that's what I mean by your general area of specialization. But it's just things within your university days, your BSc, and things like that. Then use of computer, 10 marks, 20 marks rather. Then use of English, 10 marks. So that sums another 50 marks. So that makes the overall examination 100 marks. And that's how it is graded.
Okay, so based on what you said now, so that means the interview will come first before you now go for the CBT.
Yeah, the interview comes first.
Okay.
Yes, affirmative.
I think we've covered more like 70% of what we put out to cover in this session. So I really appreciate you for joining. I really appreciate your time. So, but I don't want to waste too much of our time. So I believe those that are watching us, they will have picked 1 or 2 things from what you've explained. So peradventure, if we are going to be meeting for another session, maybe we are going to dive more on the reports and also more on the interview, so that we elaborate it so that people that want to write the exam can understand what to expect and how to prepare for it. So I really appreciate you, Engineer Toyib. Thank you for joining. Engineer Joshua, thank you for joining. Thanks for your time. So I think we are going to be closing the section today. Maybe next time we are going to be having more elaborate talk on this subject. Thanks.
Thank you for having
Yeah.
us. I appreciate it.